I grew up in church. I grew up, with God surrounded, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't really truly like find God and
Mm.
establish my relationship with God until I was 30. And it didn't happen at church.
Right. Right.
So would you say to like all the parents out there who are raising kids in church and don't feel like they're seeing the fruit, calm down. Calm down, you know, like raise them upright and have faith. It'll happen.
Yeah, like half it. It's just like at the end of the day, they're your children, but they're God's children first, just
Right.
like you are.
Right.
So at the end of the day, who's really in control?
That's true.
So if you're already relying on God to, you know, guide you and control your circumstances, then you got to relinquish and have that trust and everything
Mm,
else with your family, your kids, even when certain things are not happening the way that you would hope
Yeah.
to. Just like we were all knuckleheads and
Oh.
ways at points and
Oh.
stuff like that. So I think yeah, it's just kind of one of those things of like and not everyone's gonna agree,
Mm.
but I don't care about other people's approval. I'm just
Absolutely.
saying,
Yeah.
it's like if what I say is helpful, then good. If what I say is offensive, I know my intention. So
Right.
at the end of the day, I'm not gonna be, butthurt about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just look at it like, you know, the pressure. Who said it? I think somebody. I was watching a show, and then somebody said it on TV. It's like strict parents make sneaky kids.
yeah, that's right.
Big
Yeah,
facts.
I saw that.
Yeah.
So it said I forgot who it was. Matter of fact, I remember who it was. It was Miley Brady, Wayne Brady's daughter. When I was
No.
watching their show, and then that's what you said: strict parents,
True.
make sneaky kids,
Yeah.
That's true.
and that's what's true. So
Yeah.
it's just kind of like I for sure can't tell anyone how to parent, and even if I was a parent, I can't tell anybody else how to parent. But um, an option
Mhm.
that I can suggest is, less pressure in that way of how God is going to guide them.
Mhm.
Because if you are praying over your kids,
Mhm.
then I mean, is it double-minded if you're praying over your kids and not trusting God to,
Mm,
That's
there
true.
you go.
There you go.
you know what I'm saying? If
Yeah.
you're doubting and you're relying on your own strength and your own understanding,
Absolutely.
at
Absolutely.
the end of the day. So it's just like I've learned that I don't have children yet, but even just being in a marriage, it's
Mm.
like
Mhm.
I have to trust, God with the foundation of my whole family,
Yeah.
And that I don't know how that's all gonna look or how that's what I mean, but that's what I've been doing. So I know when I wasn't with this relationship with God,
Right.
when I wasn't, the one thing I can say is that God kept me protected, provided for in so many ways. Because I know that I had people praying for me all
Mm.
the time.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know I had my parents. I know I had my uncle and auntie, grandparent. I know I had even friends of my parents
Yep.
Yeah.
praying over me,
Yep.
Yeah.
and that prayer over me, in hindsight, I look at like, man, when I wasn't really praying, is those prayers over me
Mhm.
that God was still always there. And so if I were to fight, if I went through a phase of like questioning everything and not, you know, really kind of going in my own way and whatnot, and I found my way back. You know, and I don't even want to say back because I was just being forced to go to church.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Yeah.
That relationship wasn't there. Yes, I was baptized. Yes, I've prayed before, but where I had to really,
Altar call.
right. You know what I'm saying? It's like it was later. You know what I'm saying?
Personal relationship.
Yeah. I would just say, like, it just goes back to, like you said, it's simple. It's a lot more simple than it is of trust God.
Yeah.
And that's not easy.
Yeah.
You know, like I always say, it's very hard to trust God.
Absolutely.
But it makes life easier.
Yeah.
It's very easy to doubt God, but it makes life harder.
Right.
So you have a choice.
Yeah.
There's going to be a difficulty in either one. There's going to be some ease and a difficulty. Which one do you want?
Yeah.
You want life to be easier or harder?
Yeah.
Okay, you want it to be easier?
Right.
Okay, then you got to do the harder part on the front end.
Yeah.
And that's trusting God.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to do that part, then go ahead and doubt God. That's easy to do. But it's gonna make life difficult.
Absolutely. That's good. That's good. Man.
I almost think like you know how you said if you'd give parents advice, it would be like to teach the kids prayer.
Mhm.
And like the more I think about it, I feel like that's like the answer's better and better. Just for the fact that I feel like growing up in church, it was like that relationship aspect, you know, we lacked as kids, having a relationship with God.
Mm-hmm.
But like by you saying that prayer, that's where that relationship starts.
That's true.
It's like with that prayer.
Right.
So like that's actually like a really good answer.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, because there's always I guess I'll call it a parental ego.
Mm.
And I had to, you know, call that
Well,
out.
break that down.
When you're a parent, especially raising them when they're young, they don't know nothing.
Yeah.
So you're having to be that guide all throughout. But then once they start reaching those teenage years and all that, that's where it gets difficult. And still, regardless, you're gonna know better majority of the time than your own kid. But that's where it's just like, you know, it would have been nice to, you know, when I have children one day, I know I'm going to have a little bit of that parental ego. It's probably going to be wired, but the humility where I can humble myself is just by at least saying, like, you know what, I can guide you as a father the best I can as a human being. I'm not going to be perfect at that.
Yeah.
I know you can come to me about any and everything. And I am going to love you and I'm going to care for you and do my best as a parent. But I will say this. Sometimes, and then eventually all the time, you're going to need to go to the parent that knows way more than I do. That is way wiser than I will ever be.
Yeah.
And knows you better than even I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I created you in the physical way,
Right.
but so the creator above me, you're gonna have to. It's good for you to go to that person because sometimes you're not going to want to listen to me because I'm dad. I'm just, you know, you're not gonna want to listen to me. Just like we didn't want to listen to our parents at times. So it's just like, look, if you ain't gonna listen to me, go talk to the one that knows more and better. And don't look at it as that father figure is going to give you a whooping and punish you and all these aspects.
Yeah.
Like, it's God's love is even beyond mine.
Absolutely.
So if that's even beyond the parents' love, then that's incomprehensible.
Yeah.
You can't comprehend. I can't comprehend God's love.
Yeah.
I mean, none of us can.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm just telling you that there is a source, the source to
Mhm.
go to that is going to protect you and provide for you and teach you and guide you in ways that I can't.
Mm-hmm. It's good. Good.
And they have to trust in that,
Yeah.
which is hard.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy.
Yeah,
No.
'cause you can't force anybody to
No.
pray. You can't force anyone like that. But I just always try to, people that I meet, that find out that I'm a believer
Mm.
and whatnot. And I've met many people that are like, yeah, I grew up in church. My parents are Christians. I just kind of they're in that space that
Mhm.
I used to be in, that I was before.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
always just try to encourage them in that way of just like I that's been the main way that I've been able to encourage people. It's like, look, I pray, and this is what prayer has done for me. And let me tell you how I pray. It
Mm.
doesn't look this certain way, it doesn't sound this certain way, it doesn't have to be all this articulate, whatever. It doesn't have to be a performance. It's not supposed to be.
Right. Right.
So it's just like talk to God. And
Mhm.
and I bet you, I
Mhm.
guarantee you, if you have enough patience to let God answer you,
Mm.
you will see some difference, whatever the circumstance is. It may not be the circumstance may not change automatically, but something within you
Mm.
will change and managing that circumstance, which
That's-
eventually brings change. Who knows what it is? But at the end of the day, it's like some of the people that I've been praying for, friends that I've prayed for, that just like, God, I hope they can come to you
Mm.
Mm.
at this point, with whatever they're dealing with, and just hoping that that they could just find it in themselves to be like, you know what, let me just try. And if I don't feel a difference or see a difference in the first week, don't it's just like you're willing to do that with working out.
Yeah.
You're willing to do that where you do all this working out, all that stuff, and you don't notice results in the first month, a couple months,
Right.
Yeah.
barely
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
But I get it. It's something tangible. It's something that you can physically see.
Mm.
But faith is belief in the unseen.
Mhm.
So it's like, but you'd be surprised how God makes things tangible,
Mm.
and he's in his ways,
Mhm.
because you believe this, all of everything that's around us, everything that's tangible, this microphone, this computer screen, this shirt, this apartment, everything that's around, if in the stars, the planet, if you think this is just there just to be there,
Mm.
and at the end of the day, it came from what's not visible.
Mhm.
Because we learned early in life, we learned, in science, we learned about atoms. That's what everything is made up of in this universe, is atoms. Can we see it?
Right.
No.
Right.
But I know this is atoms. I know this is atoms. I know this ball of nothing is atoms. So if the thing that we see is made up of every single thing, made up of the thing that we don't see,
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
and there's something beyond this. And I've had conversations with agnostics, atheists, whatever. I've had conversations like, look, what we don't see, just because you can't comprehend it doesn't mean that it isn't real.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I look at it, I look at two extremes of arrogance that we as humans can have. And it's one extreme is to think that if human beings can't prove it
Mhm.
with some scientific fact, then it doesn't exist. It's not real. And I'm
Right.
just like, wait a minute. We humans only use about 10% of our brains. We're
Right.
not even the most smartest, most brilliant, thinking person still can't comprehend everything.
Mhm.
And we humans, we a mess.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we a mess.
Yeah.
So if you think that we who have been here for whatever amount of years, when this universe has been here for billions, and think that we are, they're like, if we can't articulate it, it's not real, then that's arrogant.
Yeah.
That's arrogant of just a human being, period. But
Do you think people more or less like really is? Do you think it's really an issue like they don't think God's real, where it's really more? I don't want to give you authority over my life.
it's a combination of that. For some people, it's that. For some people, it's for some people it is straight rebellion of not wanting, while
Mhm.
others, then there's others that are just, they're so logical and so literal at everything that that if it doesn't compute in a way of just scientific whatever, then it's just they can't. It's like they struggle to believe anything beyond that. So it just depends on the person. I've seen it on both ends, and it's just like there's that extreme, but there's the other extreme, and we see the other extreme in a lot of church communities, religious people, where, but if you think you could comprehend literally everything about God and what God is thinking and what God wants, literally everything,
Yeah.
that too, that is another extreme that people see. And I think the biggest problem I hate, the thing that I hate is that, and it's unfortunate that most people, I feel, in the world can't disassociate God and religion. Like
Mm.
they can't see it
Yep.
apart. Like if you say God, all they can think about is religion.
Yep.
It's religion, it's this, and it's like, no.
Yep.
Even if you break it down, they still see it like you're talking religion. They cannot separate the two at all. You know what I'm saying? Because and that's what I think has always been the hard thing for people even attempting to believe and walk in faith.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just like that's all they associate God with.
Yep.
It's like, if I am to believe in God or try to tap into God, then that means I have to be this religious.
Religious, yeah.
They associate it with something. It looks a certain way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's been the hard thing, and that's something I have friends or associates that I've known and have tried to explain, like, dude, don't take the two apart.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Or they think it looks like their parents.
So do you think the way they think like that is because it's not personal? Because I think I used to be religious, but I have a personal relationship. Like, I know for myself what he's done for me, and
right,
just my personal relationship, like, that's separated because it's just me and nobody else.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It's because that's not what, at least when we grew up, was preached, that we saw or taught. Like, we saw more of the religious practice, you know what I'm saying, than the relationship. We see the religious practice, going to church every Sunday, going to this Bible study, going to this whatever. We saw the religious practice more than we got to see the relationship. So it's like, and I don't fault this on my mom at all, but I I didn't really get to see what my mom's relationship with God really looks like until I was an adult.
Mm, that's good.
You know,
How do you think you saw that? Like, how were you able to see that when you didn't being younger?
our conversations,
Mm,
about it, because it was just like I got to, when I was a kid, I could hear my mom praying in her room. I could hear her praying, um, but it's not like I know what she was praying about.
right.
Yeah.
It's not like I know that, and some of those things that it was some grown folk stuff. So I can
Right.
understand,
Right.
some things maybe not share with me or whatnot.
Right.
But through me and my mom's conversations that we have as an adult, I'm able to see a lot, better. And I see even the differences. She sees the differences, the way of my stories and my testimonies and things that I've told her has even opened her mind a little bit. Like, you know what? Okay, I know God is guiding you. It may not be in a way that I understand or get,
Look
fully
different.
get like that. It looks different. So, okay, that's taught me something, And so, yeah, I just think like we've seen the religion, we've seen church, we've seen that,
Yeah.
but the relationship aspect, um, and that's the thing. I don't know how I would have been able to comprehend it as a kid,
Yeah.
but kids today, it's just like they're able to comprehend a lot more.
That's true.
Yeah,
And
they are.
it's just every generation. It's just like back, how it was back when we were growing up. Oh, my baby is 2 and knows how to use the TV remote.
Right. Right.
Now it's like that's nothing. It's like, oh, they know how to use the iPad, the iPhone,
Fix the computer for me.
Right.
they
It's
know how to
computer
use-
for you. Right.
kids know how to comprehend. They have access to way more information than we did at
Yeah.
their age.
Yeah.
So I think there's a new level of where that comprehension can be,
Yeah.
for a newer generation that I don't know if I would have been able to, comprehend it
I
the
don't,
way that.
but see, I don't know. I think it just depends. I
Yeah.
think because we have different interactions with kids today than
Yeah.
they did back then. That back in the day, it was like what they say, seen not heard or whatever. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So I think we see kids now, and they're able to articulate what they're feeling, what they're thinking.
They are.
Yeah, which I mean, it wasn't that it couldn't be done back then. It's just
No.
more acceptable. It's
Yeah.
more the
Yeah.
norm,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So I think maybe if our parents had these deeper conversations with us, we would have had a deeper consciousness. How do you say
Right.
that? Of
Right.
this stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And you see, and for me, I think about just like, okay, I'm thinking of like, okay, I'm the age my mom was when I was. Sorry, calculate. They, I'm not doing math well right now, so I'm 41 now. Okay, so when I was 16,
Mhm.
and I think of, man, what would it be like for me if I was 41 and the year I was 16 was like 1999, I believe. Yeah, 1999 in 1999. And I'm just like, man, I don't know. It's like, it's one of those things like, would I have saw it myself deeper at that time in that era? I don't know. I don't know. That's that I find that where it's interesting because it's just like I know how much I've seen, especially from me and my mom's conversations, how
Mhm.
much she has grown
Mhm.
Mhm.
herself in the
Mhm.
last 25 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like with
Like,
with our mom too.
yeah, she's
Yeah, we see that.
overcome so many religious barriers
Mhm.
Yeah.
that she was conditioned from when she was 16 herself.
It's a long
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
you
that's
know,
another thing. Like our parents, they all came to the Lord like really
Yeah.
young.
Teenagers.
And they
right,
came to the Lord like they were young, but like their parents didn't necessarily like our mom, like when she started going to the church, her parents weren't they were not religious at
Mhm.
all, right? So I guess she didn't necessarily have the experience of, when I bring my kids up in the church, I'm going to do this different because my parents, I didn't like how they did this, right?
right.
Um, so I guess they didn't have that aspect to
A
look
ref-
at, to think
yeah, a
about,
reference point.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Reference. Yeah, my mom didn't really have that reference point beforehand too, because it's like, my grandparents, they were living the life, when they
they
were
kind of got
younger.
saved at the same time.
Uh, Right. So
Yeah.
so that's why I just see it like, wow, okay. And then when I look at like my dad's end is like, and my dad he is a peculiar person. My dad is a character. He is something else. So there is no way we could have had those kind of conversations at all. Like, I mean, even
You're
just
just
to
laughing
the
thinking about your dad.
yeah,
Yeah.
my dad is something else. So it's just like really a conversation with my dad, even still to this day, is not going to go beyond what kind of car you have right now. And basically kind of just like, my grandfather on my dad's side that I'd never really met lived in California. So my dad used to come out to California a lot when he was a kid. So he's always just asked me like, you like LA? You like LA? Yeah. And then he would just tell me the same story again and again, how he saw Michael Jackson in a restaurant and all this stuff. We just have those conversations, but it just doesn't really go beyond that. It doesn't really go deeper than that. And even on my dad's side of the family, I'm not like, as close with anyone where I have, this kind of conversation. So I think it's just like we all like come from, one, the previous generations and what they had, what they dealt with, the limitations and stuff like that. Because you even think about it, it's just like then we go from our parents, and they're going through a time when there was still racial segregation,
Mhm.
Jim Crow, all that kind of stuff. So it's just like, man, I think that's where I just always kind of like look back, or I'm just like, mom did the best that she could
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
what she had
Yep.
and what
Yeah.
she knew.
She knew. Yeah.
And I'm grateful. I'm just grateful to be at a place now that I have like really great conversations with mom
Yeah.
about God, how God is guiding us, and there's things I'm always able to get advice from her on ends, and then there's like I'm giving her advice at times, like mom, you tend to look at it this way, and you can whatever, and I'm able to help her. And I'm just like, man,
Yeah.
that's really amazing.
That's dope.
To be able to do that. So I think that I think the fact that us three can have this conversation right now is very powerful
Hmm.
and such a blessing, and it's something I would have never pictured 20 years ago.
All right, I'm
What
gonna
I'm
ask
saying?
one more question
What's up?
because we gotta
Yeah.
shut this puppy down.
Right.
I'm gonna have to break it up or something because it got kind of long.
Yeah.
But so, even though, we probably didn't enjoy church, would you say being the church kid, like you see the fruits of it now?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and my wife have talked about that a lot. Like she's even said it was just like, I just appreciate my mom having us go to church because it just really kind of like there was at least a foundation set for me to come to at some point, and I feel that same way too, where it's just like, I mean, I didn't like hate church at all, going to church. Like I think especially once we're going to Solid Rock, like in our time, like I have a lot of fond memories then. Especially when we did like youth trips. I remember we went to Arizona for like a few days and whatever, and visited a reservation there, and it was just really cool. So I've had some great memories with church, and then even on my dad's side of church, I have some just funny memories and stories that just like I tell, like, yo. So I'm grateful that I was brought up in it. I do see the benefits.
Yeah.
I do see the benefits compared to if I wouldn't have gone at all.
Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely.
The only thing I would say that I wish it could have just been in this way, and I still feel like would have worked. It's like, hey, how's about it you just would have made me go once a month? Like I was forced to go one Sunday out of the month, but I could have my other Sundays to do what I want to do with friends or whatever. But I know at least one Sunday I have to go, or maybe 2 Sundays, just every single Sunday was something for me that was just like that I could still look back on. It's like, okay, going to church, I think was necessary for me.
Yeah.
I don't think weekly was necessary.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me personally. I don't think that was necessary.
Yeah.
But yeah. I'm glad I grew up in church.
Yeah.
And I have that experience. And there's a whole culture to it that that especially as Black folks that growing up in Black churches, that we all can relate to. We just know there's aspects of it that if you didn't grow up in church at all, it's just like, man, you don't. It's just like as soon as I started singing that church song, it's like we all know that song. We can just keep we just know them. So it's just sometimes growing up in Black church, how I can't even tell my wife because she's Filipino, just like, oh, you didn't know about this song? Oh, this song, this is the one. I told her the Sunday school. Oh, you don't know the Sunday school song? See, the Sunday school song or whatever. Just all that kind of stuff. That SCH double, what was it? SUNDAY SCH double OL. That kind of stuff. It's just there's culture in that.
Yeah,
so and I appreciate that culture because that culture even made up a lot of what the musical culture that I'm that is embedded in me too. So yeah, I appreciate all of it. And I say I appreciate it. Just weekly could have
too much.
All right. You got anything you want to say, D'Angelo?
No, this is good, man. Really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Likewise. I just want to say, and if sorry, I just kept saying D'Jo. That is just what I'm so used to. But D'Angelo, it's like I can call him that because I'm family.
He family.
I don't know if he's cool with that with everybody else, but I can call him that.
Family. That's all good.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, I appreciate this conversation, y'all.
Absolutely.
I appreciate being a guest, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself.
Absolutely.
All right. So if this helped you anyway, I always forget this part. Subscribe, like, comment, do something. You know, we've been horrible taping and stuff, so we ain't in the YouTube algorithm. So help a brother, help a sister out. And like like in James, draw near to God and he will draw near to you.
Amen to that.
Right.